Hello, everyone. Drew Nicholas, and this is the second version of live on my channel. It's been interesting to just kind of start getting into this, as I talked about last week, kind of just jumping into things that make me feel uncomfortable that I've been wanting to do for a long time. Um, and last week, I ripped off my Unf Yourself calendar, and it was very inspiring for that day about kind of pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. And this week, I'll start with the Monday, April 18th edition of Unf Yourself, which I ripped off right before I hit live. When you have a purpose for what you are doing, it raises the bar of your participation in life. You are compelled to reach, to stretch, and to go beyond your most basic concerns. That seems about right. I think that tracks. Um, that's what my whole week has been, to be honest with you. Um, I have been reaching and stretching, literally stretching, doing DDP yoga. Um, and I've been trying to go beyond what makes me comfortable, what's something that is something that's not a daily routine for me, something that's not in my comfort zone. So I've been really excited to get that going, and yeah. So unfortunately, we could not do hits and misses on Fightful Overbooked. Joe Pearl and I. Joe's got so much stuff going on, so I totally get that. I've told him that's fine, no problem. He's just had a kid, and I'm so happy for him, and stuff is going on. So I had put together my list of hits and misses for last week, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go live on my channel, and I'll give that out. Why not? Give us something to talk about, and just get into it. So, of course, it's not going to have any of the flashy production of Tim's wonderful editing and all that, but let's do it. And I wanted to give a quick what I was going to do. I know Joel would have laughed at this. I was going to give a little like a number 6. Usually it's five hits and 5 misses, but an honorable mention, if you will, for my hits, which is, and a lot of you who know me on Twitter, that Big Money Drew, by the way, cheap plug. I like to thirst a lot on Twitter, and I like to see men who are physically attractive to me and watch them wrestle. So I can say that in my honorable mention for last week, if you know me, Draco Anthony versus Zion Quinn on NXT 2.0. Yes, I would like that match every single week. Just give that to me. Both men are very gifted in certain aspects. Not really about the wrestling. It's not really about anything. I just like watching them. That's all. So yeah, so that's my honorable mention. So let's now get into number 5. My number 5 hit of last week's wrestling was the RK Bro out of nowhere, and Riddle did that really great. I have to say, it was one of the coolest RKO's out of nowhere, like a genuine RKO out of nowhere that I've seen in quite some time. I would say probably going back to the one with Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 32. I think that was that was worth going out of your way to find and watch alone because it was really special, and Randy's reaction to it looked so legitimate. Like he jumps in the ring before the ref counts three, like just elated at that RKO, and like got the crowd going. It was a really really great moment. And the match was really good too. So I would highly suggest going to seek that out. I believe I was on SmackDown. Yeah, that was on SmackDown because the Usos. Well, the Usos are also on Raw right now. No brand split at the moment. Um, but yeah, go seek that. My number four hit of last week was Samoa Joe. Um, I hadn't really been able to talk about Samoa Joe since he debuted at the ROH Supercard of Honor because I haven't done a hits and misses since then. But I have to say that I have been really, really loving everything that he's been doing. His first match with Max Caster, and I loved the match with Suzuki on Dynamite. Like, you could just see in his face how happy he is to have his chest turn purple. And it's really awesome. It really is. It's such a wonderful thing to see. And Suzuki did great in that match as well. But I mean, just to see Samoa Joe at this level again, I love it. And I did not see his I wasn't a Ring of Honor guy, so I never saw any of his stuff in Ring of Honor. But this already feels different than his time in WWE. So I'm really excited to see him progress in the tournament and maybe even win. That would be cool. My number three hit from last week is Sonya's executive decision. I saw people not liking this, but I don't know why, because Sonya, this makes sense for her. She likes to throw herself into matches and then try and gain an advantage. Okay, so the thing with Naomi happened a few months back, and it was not received well by me either. I mean, I know when I was on Hits and Misses, I was complaining about how they really made her seem racist. Like she was just going after Naomi for no reason. Yes, it's Bianca now, but it doesn't have that feeling this time around like it did with Naomi. So I'm actually okay with it this time because I feel like it makes sense. And I think that she made it her own. I think it worked out really well. So, the way they did it, like, oh, here's your opponent. And Bianca turned around to see her opponent. They did the fanfare, and then she takes her knee out and then attacks her. I think that was done really well. So I'm fully on board with this, and I'm excited to see that match. My number two hit was Blackpool Combat Club versus the Ass Men. Men because, Billy was in it as well. That was really just a great match. It was such a great match, and I loved the presentation. I mentioned this on the Fightful stream on Friday after Rampage, because this was such a beautiful touch, and I don't even know if AEW is doing this on purpose, but to have Bryan Danielson come out of the heel tunnel Wheeler Yuta with William Regal come out of the face tunnel, and then Moxley come out through the crowd. That's really interesting. It's such a unique thing that we don't see very often. Because, like a group, a faction will usually just come out on their own. Either they'll come out on their own or they'll come out separately to their own music, but come out at the same, in the same place. So, like, Danielson, Yuta, and Moxley would just come out in the same place and be on the stage and walk down together. But this is such like a unique thing. It was like somebody out of the heel tunnel, somebody out of the face tunnel, somebody through the crowd. I really like that a lot, and I hope that they continue to do that. I hope AEW sees that and it's like, hey, that's something that's a really unique presentation. As for the match itself, just really, really, really great. This was the first Blackpool Combat Club trio match of all three of them in the match together, and it was spectacular. It was legitimately spectacular. And then Austin Gunn at one point does Reigns. Ooh, it was so funny to Moxley, and I think Danielson was in the ring with him at that point. I don't remember, but it was spectacular. It really was. So that's my number 2 hit. My number 1 hit of last week in wrestling is the whole MJF and Wardlow feud, because a star is being born right in front of our very eyes, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing to witness. It really is. Every single person that's involved in this feud is playing their role just perfectly, honestly. MJF and Shawn Dean, Captain Shawn Dean, have that match on Dynamite, and it's like, oh, okay. You're thinking, how's Wardlow going to interfere here? Every week he comes out, there's a load of security coming out after him, and he just takes them all out one by one until he gets overwhelmed. And it's been such a great thing to see, because every week the crowds are chanting for Wardlow, and they get louder, and then they are really electric when he comes out, or whenever, if he's attacking people backstage. In this instance, the camera going backstage and then security being knocked out, and one of them with their shirts off. And that kind of worries MJF a little bit, but he keeps wrestling the match. And then goes outside the ring by the crowd where that entrance is. And there comes Wardlow in the security with a mask. The reveal was so great. There was a guy standing right there that was like booing MJF that didn't even realize that Wardlow was standing right next to him. And then he hears the cheering and he turns around. It's like, oh my God, Wardlow. It was so great. And MJF's reaction was great. And then they end the match perfectly. It's like, MJF has to leave through the stage because the security are coming down and they overwhelm Wardlow at the ring. And then all of a sudden, he grabs a microphone and he's like, right, Bryce Remsburg, the referee of the match. He's like, Bryce, I'll give you triple what Tony Khan's paying you if you don't count to 10. And then Bryce is a great wrestler. He's so wonderful. And it's like, just like, 10, rings the bell, and MJF goes ballistic, and it was so Like, it's perfect. It's so perfect. Sean Dean gets over in the countout. MJF and Wardlow, of course, and then Sean Spears, who did the chair shot to to Wardlow before the security came out, and that was just everything was just perfect. Everything was perfect. Um, and yeah, when do they have security? Right, Ryan. When do they have security guard besides Wardlow? Um, it was perfect. It was the greatest thing, and I cannot wait for MJF versus Wardlow. I cannot wait. It is going to be a spectacle. It's going to be so great. I can't wait for it. So that was my top 5 hits for last week in wrestling. Now we have to get to my top 5 misses, and some of them are interesting because some of them have been ranted about already. So you'll understand. You probably already know where that's going. Ryan, you know where that's going because of Kate. Kate had some rants about these things, and a lot of people have had rants, like to the point that by the time it got to like Saturday, I was like, whew, I've heard so many rants on this. I'm kind of like out ranted. I don't really have a rant in me. So we'll get to it. We'll get to it. So my number 5 miss of wrestling last week was Damian Priest versus AJ Styles, and specifically the lights out portion. Or the purple lights, you could say, because then the camera just like kind of faded out, and I don't know if that was supposed to be the lights going out or if that was just, oh, we're cutting to commercial now. The faction deal with Edge and Damian Priest, I liked it. I mean, I still not that I liked it, not that I don't like it. It's just that, I think it suits Damian Priest really well. And speaking of suits, goddamn, does he look good in one? Like, he really does. But this purple light thing in the match just was like, okay, like, fine, you're gonna do that. You're gonna like have this weird supernatural type of a thing. But why did that just stop everything? Like, the match was over and AJ Styles was on the back getting, it's like, whoa, huh? I don't get that. That's weird, and I don't want this to happen every week or every other week, however many times I decide to do this. And if like Rhea Ripley joins this group, and then now she's gonna have the lights go purple and matches that way, it's a bit too like sports entertainment for me. I like sports entertainment. Clearly, look up here, look right there, right there. I have a Universal Championship behind me. I clearly like sports entertainment, but not when it gets hokey like that. A little weird. So please don't do that again because I like Damian Priest and I like Edge. And as much as I didn't care for Edge turning heel and going after Styles the way that he did at WrestleMania, that whole build, I didn't like that at all. I did like the addition of Damian Priest. So I was starting to get into it. But then they did that thing last Monday. Now I'm not as excited because I don't want to see that happen again. Please. So that's number 5. Number 4, my number 4 miss was something that's been ranted about. Lights Out Part 2, Satnam Singh's debut. So, look, I have nothing against Satnam Singh. He looks better than I had previously thought because Battle of the Belts, he came out and was more had more movement to him and was like, oh, okay, this is something I think I could get behind. But that debut, continuing with lights going out, like the Damian Priest thing, that was not great. And Tony Khan promoting a the overrun, because I was technically in an overrun for Dynamite, it was not the greatest thing. And even he has said now, that wasn't the best idea. So I'm glad that he acknowledged that. But we have AEW, they really need to define what the lights out deal means, because you do it for like Malachi Black and you do it for a debut and you do it for, I think, like Sting or somebody else. But for me personally, nothing against Satnam Singh. I'm sure I feel more optimistic about him, but I wouldn't I wouldn't have done the lights out thing for him either, because it's like, this is somebody that nobody knows, really. Like, they chanted, "Who are you?" at him when that happened, the crowd, and like, why would we do something like that? Why would you put him in that position? Like, yeah, I understand the business aspect of it for the Indian market. I understand that. But you're not in India. You're in, I think that was, I actually don't remember where that was, but it was somewhere in America. And this isn't like America waving the flag type of a deal. I just mean that, like, nobody in the crowd knows this guy unless he's tall and looks, physically, like, threatening. But a lights out thing for him, that doesn't work. So I'm glad Tony Khan acknowledged that that was not the right thing to do. They did better with Satnam Singh at Battle of the Belts. So I have more optimism at this point, and we'll see what happens. Yeah, it's like, because when the lights go out, you're thinking, oh, this is going to be like a major debut, because that's what the lights have gone out for in the past. That's how Malachi Black debuted. That's how Sting debuted. That's how somebody else debuted. I'm forgetting. I don't know why. But yeah, it's like, that's fine. A big debut, a crowd shock, a pop from the crowd. Big guys look better. Big guys do look better marching at you. That's for sure. But yeah, so it's like somebody that the crowd knows and is going to get a reaction for. Like, I thought, like a lot of people thought, the former Cesaro, Claudio, was going to come out. Like, I was like, oh my God, somebody's coming to defend Joe. No, that's not what happened. So let's move on from that. We'll see what happens on Wednesday. And hopefully Satnam is done right by Tony Khan and AEW. We'll see what happens there. So that's number 4. My number 3 myth from last week was not as much let me say, just flat out, Scorpio Sky losing the TNT title. That's my number 3 myth. Now, the reasoning behind it being just the title loss itself, here's why. On Friday, because Battle of the Belts obviously was taped after Live Rampage, a spoiler went out on Twitter about this match and the result of this match, and the spoiler was Sammy Guevara low-blowed Scorpio and pinned Scorpio and won the title. There was no context previously to this. So in my head, and I know in a lot of other people's heads, Sammy Guevara just turned heel on Scorpio by low-blowing him and winning the title back. So I was not a fan of that, and I was very sour going into Battle of the Belts. But when I saw the match at Battle of the Belts, the context of the low blow, okay, that I actually didn't mind. Scorpio was poked his eye and did something else in the match, so that made sense to me. Yes, Tay Conti also did interfere in some way. I think I don't remember what it was. I think like Scorpio grabbed the rope and then she like slapped his hand away or something like that. I don't remember what it was, but for Sammy, the low blow didn't bother me as much after seeing the whole match because again, the spoiler only said there was a low blow. It didn't say Scorpio poked Sammy's eye. It didn't say the other thing that happened that I don't remember. So it just seemed like Sammy was cheating to win without anything happening in the match. So after seeing the match, like, okay, so that makes sense. I'm fine with babyfaces doing heelish things, but then the thing about it is that Sammy and Ty are not really babyfaces. I know they're being booked and presented as babyfaces, but they're not. They're not. So hopefully that changes. But at the expense of Scorpio Sky losing the TNT title, that's where I'm salty about it because I don't think that Scorpio's title run, he only had one defense against Wardlow. And that wasn't cool. I didn't like that. So maybe they have Scorpio win it back. They're kind of hot potatoing it. I don't really mind that as much, but the promo, though, I do have to mention because I didn't see this, because I take notes on the stuff for hits and misses with Joel. The promos that Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky cut that is on Ethan's Twitter, wow. It is like one of the best promos I've ever seen. You need to go seek that out on Ethan Page's Twitter because that was really something special. It feels like a shoot. It really does. It might even be a shoot, honestly. It's really great. So go watch that. But yeah, so my number 3 miss, Scorpio Sky losing the TNT title. My number 2 miss, also something that has been ranted about, but I'm not going to necessarily rant about the cake incident, but it is involved because my number 2 miss, like the portion that I really want to focus on is just that Nyla Rose deserves better. Like, she really does. The whole women's division, of course, obviously needs to be treated better. But everyone has ranted about that. I know, Ryan, I know you want me to rant. I might, as I get into the groove, I do have a rant, though, for the number 1 miss, which might surprise some people because, like, that's what you choose to rant about throughout everything that happened last week. But we'll get to that in a second. So, like, I want to choose Nyla here specifically because she is really awesome. Like, on Twitter, she's a great person, and in interviews, I've seen an interview that she had just done before Battle of the Belts with Grapsody, with Will Washington and Phil and Reg, and it was so like genuinely great. Like, she is funny and she can talk beautifully. She's a great talker. And it's unfortunate because she's saddled with Vicky Guerrero, and really she should be a face. Like, they have to get out of that that classic thing that they do with Nyla Rose. It's like, oh, here's a new babyface champion. small woman. So now we've got to have Nyla Rose go after her as the first challenger. Um, that has to stop. It really does. Um, it's just like a rinse repeat thing with her, and it's tiring. Like I don't like people being booked wrong, and like the Sammy and Ty thing, they should not be booked as baby faces. They are heels. They are getting booed. Just turn them heel. Nyla Rose is a genuinely likable person who can talk, and I think deserves to be a face. Does not need Vicky Guerrero, and nothing against Vicky because I like Vicky. And funny thing is, my partner, who is not into wrestling at all, uh, knows Vicky from WWE when I would watch WWE, and loves her because of the "Excuse Me." How weird is that? Like, he's not even a casual fan and loves Vicky because of the "Excuse Me." The shouting of "Excuse Me." Um, so it's like I have nothing against Vicky Guerrero, but I don't think that this works anymore. I don't think it ever really worked. Maybe it did in the beginning, but Nyla doesn't need somebody to talk for her. So, and of course, the cake thing made nobody look good. It made Nyla look bad for getting cake thrown in her face. It made, although she had the "I love cake and violence" line, which kind of almost saved it because that was a great line. Um, Nyla didn't look good because of the cake in her face. Thunder Rosa didn't look good because she kind of one-upped the heel, but then also got beaten up by the same heel with cake on her face right after. um, and it took me out of the match at Battle of the Belts because I knew that Nyla Rose didn't have a chance of winning, because this is what happens with Nyla Rose every single time. She never wins the title. She won the title once, great, but then after she lost the title, it's smaller woman, babyface, wins the championship. Nyla Rose attacks her and is the first feud. Nyla Rose does not win. Rinse and repeat. It's literally that. It was that with Sheeta. It was that now with Thunder. It's like, why? Why are you doing the same thing? No. So let's stop doing that, please, Tony Khan. And yeah, please treat Nyla Rose better, and just the women's division as a whole, because women's wrestling draws, clearly. So many people talk about it. I love it. You love it if you're watching, I'm sure. So please treat the women's division better in your company. Thank you. Now, here comes the rant. It's so weird that this is a rant. Kate Hensler, Miss Kate Fabe, at Fightful, has also already ranted about this. And you must be thinking to yourself, well, wait, you talked about the cake throwing incident, and you talked about the Scorpio Sky thing. What else did Kate rant about? And I watched it just yesterday, funny enough, and boy, did she just hit the nail on the head with this. Number one miss of last week's wrestling: the Creed brothers losing the gauntlet match. I, like Kate had mentioned on the Sour Graps NXT review, have been kind of, like the natural progression of not liking someone, how they're presented on TV and stuff. Like, why would Malcolm Bivens choose the Creed brothers for Diamond Mine back then? Like, They're unknown. They just started wrestling. Why? It just doesn't make sense. Why would Malcolm Bivens do that? And then, as time went on, I started to actually like the Creed brothers. But, so Stand and Deliver happens, and MSK win the tag titles when it was so clear that, like, the Creed brothers should have won that match. And I was upset about that. So it's like, oh, because MSK, why are MSK winning the titles here? It just doesn't make sense. At the time, everybody thought MSK was their attackers. I thought MSK was the attacker. It seemed like that was what it was. But my cat just walked by. Excuse me. So then I did not watch the NXT when the attackers were revealed. I just saw the clip of it on YouTube. Pretty Deadly. I don't know what their names were. I forgot their names. Because I think the names were changed. But it's like, why? Why? Why is it Pretty Deadly? It's not really explained. It's like, oh, they just want to be in America, so they just attacked the Creed brothers in the parking lot. Okay. That doesn't really make sense. And then it's like, okay, so Pretty Deadly are the attackers. The Creed brothers lost at Stand and Deliver. But now MSK, we know what happened with that. I'm not going to get into that. MSK is no longer a thing, and the tag titles are vacant. So now we're going to do a gauntlet match. And it's like, oh, you know what? Yeah, that's going to be it. That's what's going to get the Creed brothers the title. And they start out at number 1. So before that, Pretty Deadly are drawing a number. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. Why would Pretty Deadly be in this gauntlet? That doesn't make any sense at all. They literally just debuted the week prior and revealed as the Creed brothers attackers. What are they doing in this gauntlet? That doesn't make any sense. And they haven't had a sip of coffee in NXT. They literally just pulled the hood off and revealed themselves, and then the next week they're in a gauntlet for the vacant tag titles. What? That makes no sense. So then they win. What? That was very puzzling, because that was the Creed brothers match to win. That was the Creed brothers match to win. That was the coronation. That was the perfect time to do that. And you just screwed it completely. First of all, I am not a fan of Pretty Deadly. Sorry to say. People might be surprised by that. I don't know. I don't like them. I don't get it. I don't get it. And the Yes Boy thing. The Yes Boy thing, to me, is cringeworthy. I'm going to be honest with you. I saw the promo that they cut. I don't know if you've seen it. The promo that they cut after winning the titles. It's like a digital exclusive on YouTube or on Twitter. I don't remember where it is. And the Yes Boy thing. Oh my God, it's so annoying. It's so annoying. It's not like, oh, I want to boo you because your heel's annoying. It's like, go away, annoying. I can't stand it. It drives me crazy. Um, and then, and then, like like the fake laughing into a serious face that they do in the promo. It's so bad. It's so freaking bad. um, if this was for the Creed brothers, WWE got me invested in the Creed brothers when I didn't like them, and this is what Kate was referring to. Which I was like, "You hit the nail on the head, Kate. You got me invested in the Creed brothers after I wasn't invested in them. You did your job. You got me invested in them. And now you won't give me what I want. I want the Creed brothers to win the tag titles, and you're not giving it to me." Uh, no. Stop this. Give me the friggin' thing. This is what I want. You had the opportunity to do it 2 times. You had the opportunity to Stand and Deliver, and you had the opportunity last week on NXT, and you didn't do it. And that's when it's going to be like, well, now I'm going to get uninvested, divested. I don't know if that's even a word. But I'm not going to be invested anymore because it's going to be like the chase, and they're never going to win it. And then eventually they are going to win it. And it's like, oh, okay. Congratulations. Instead of fist pumping, yeah, they won. Because I'm not going to be doing that now. It's like, oh, okay, they won. Congrats. It's about time. When people say it's about time, that's a bad thing. Okay? You don't want people to go, oh, finally, the Creed brothers won the tag titles. It's about time. You don't want people to say that. So to hear, Kate like really embody my feelings on this was like spot on. Get the titles on the Creed brothers before it's too late. Before people just don't really care anymore. Please. The Creed brothers are actually good. I like them. Many people like them now. Get the titles on them. They're the ones who deserve it. They deserved it at Stand and Deliver. They deserved it after the Gauntlet match. They're going to deserve it in the first title defense. If you don't do it then, I fear that any time after that will be an it's about time thing, which isn't good, I mean, of course, obviously, when they have the titles, that's a great thing when they win them. But the dragging it out this way, I'm not a fan of that, and other people aren't as well. So that's my number one. There's my rant. It wasn't a angry rant that much. I mean, it was angry. But yeah, I mean, if I was on like a post-show review of one of these shows, you probably would get the rant then. But this has already been almost a full week since then. So I'm sorry if it wasn't a rant that you were expecting or a rant you're liking. I just don't have that rant in me anymore because a whole week almost has passed. But yeah, so that was my number one, the Creed brothers losing the Gauntlet match. So that was my whole list. That was my top 5 hits, my top 5 misses. My wrestler of the week, because we do that in hits and misses as well. My wrestler of the week was Wardlow, and pretend that a Wardlow image just popped up right here. Wardlow. That's what Tim would do. Because I'm really like, Wardlow was my favorite. That whole thing was my favorite last week, and I can't wait for the match with MJF and Wardlow because that is going to be really special. Probably as special as CM Punk versus Wardlow, to be honest with you. Because it's just like such a high caliber thing right now that like everybody wants to see. So, yeah. So that's my wrestler of the week, my top 5 hits, my top 5 misses. And the last things I want to talk about really quickly before I get out of here. I completed week 1 of DDP Yoga, and I was really happy with myself because for the first time, I can honestly say I am excited for week 2 of exercising in anything. I can't wait to see what the program is going to be like, the exercises, and even if they're the same exercises, some of the same or whatever, fine. I will be able to, as the Unf Yourself calendar said, I will be able to reach and stretch and go beyond my most basic concerns. Because there's literally a stretch or like an exercise, whatever you want to call it, in DDP Yoga, where you're reaching up and do one, and another, like this. So it's like, to see the word stretch on the calendar, it was like perfect, like last week. So yeah, so week 2 of DDP Yoga starts, and haven't like weighed myself yet. I also went out with some friends on Saturday. Didn't eat very well. So I'm trying to like work on that, like set a goal for myself of like, okay, you did DDP Yoga for the whole week, maybe like a bi-monthly type of a thing where I like treat myself to something, because I'm not someone that can just be like, oh, well, shut everything out completely. No bad food, no candy, sweets, whatever So I'm trying to like balance this out and kind of have a good schedule for myself when it comes to this. So yeah, and I mean, I literally do it right here. I do the DDP Yoga right here. It's a really fun program, and I really like DDP's personality. I think it works really well with exercising, because it's not like a P90 P90X program where you're kind of like getting barked at, do this, blah, blah, like this fast-paced thing. I'm not like somebody that reacts to that very well. So whenever I've started P90X, I've obviously never finished. I don't think I've even done a week and a half of P90X, honestly, because I just don't like that style of pushing, go, fast-paced, blah, 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 like, this doesn't feel like training to be an athlete. This feels like a real, like, slower paced DDP Yoga I'm talking about. It's like a slower paced, just relaxed thing where you can actually like feel what's going on. My back is still like from Saturday's workout. My back is still, I feel it. So it's you, as you progress and you feel like these little adjustments as you're doing movements and stuff. It's really cool. So I'm really thankful for this program, and I'm really thankful to get into week 2. And yeah, so that is going to be it for this week. I went a little longer than I wanted to, and that's okay. Because it was just fun. I am enjoying doing this. Ryan, thank you again for being in the chat. That was awesome. Bang, yes. The DDP, stretch it out, and then to the T, and then, he says Hulk it out. I'm not really, a fan of that, but that's okay. Hulk it out and attention. That's at the end of the exercises. So, thank you very much for watching. Like, subscribe, at Big Money Drew on Twitter. Peace out, everybody. See you next time.